IR35, or off-payroll working rules, have changed, clamping down on those contractors who place their income through a limited company for tax reasons. As a result, the new IR35 rules will increase the tax take for the Treasury, with more income tax and national insurance contributions collected from contractors. In this video, I'm looking at the change to IR35 rules and explaining what you need to know if you're a worker or contractor providing your services to a client through your own limited company or another intermediary. Hi everyone, I'm Martin Bamford, a chartered financial planner, personal finance YouTuber and money author. On this channel, I talk about personal finance, investing and happiness. I make these videos to help you become wealthier and happier. If that sounds like a great result, click on that little red subscribe button, become part of our subscriber community. It's completely free and you'll never miss an episode. Before I get into the IR35 changes which come into force from today, a brief reminder about what IR35 is and how it works. The off-payroll working rules are available if a worker, contractor, freelancer provides their services through their own limited company or another type of intermediary to the client. That intermediary will usually be the worker's own personal service company, but it might also be a partnership, personal service company, or individual. IR35 rules are in place to make sure that workers, who would have been an employee if they were providing their services directly to the client, pay broadly the same amount of income tax and national insurance contributions as employees. When we talk about IR35, we refer to the client, and that's the organisation who is or will be receiving the services of a contractor. Clients are also known as engagers, hirers, or end clients. From today, new IR35 rules have changed who decides your employment status if you're a contractor. Under the old rules, it was only contractors providing a service to a client through the public sector, where the client decided on the employment status of that contractor. For a business in the private sector, the contractor decided on their own employment status. But the new rules from today mean that all public sector clients hiring freelancers and contractors, and all medium or large size private sector clients, will now be responsible for deciding on the employment status of their workers. If, as a contractor, you provide services to a small client in the private sector, it remains the responsibility of the worker's intermediary to decide your employment status and whether or not the IR35 rules apply. HM Revenue and Customs now say that any contractor or freelancer providing services to a public sector client or medium or large size private sector client will need an employment status determination from their client, as well as the reasoning behind that determination. You can dispute the determination with the client if you disagree with it, and the client gets 45 days from the date of the disagreement to respond. However, during those 45 days, the business paying the fees will still need to apply the rules in line with the original determination. If IR35 applies to your working arrangement, then income tax and employee national insurance contributions have to be deducted from your fees and paid to HMRC. Employer national insurance contributions and the apprenticeship levy, if these apply, also have to be paid to HMRC. This rule change has been covered today in iNews, which reported the government has said this will not affect people who work as genuine freelancers. Instead, it is targeted largely at contractors who set up a personal service company, a PSC, and use that for their business. Keep in mind that these IR35 rule changes were originally due to come into force last year, but their introduction was postponed because of the pandemic, postponed to help businesses and individuals deal with the economic impact of coronavirus. Despite being postponed for a year, the Association of Independent Professionals and the Self-Employed, the IPSE, has reacted to their introduction today, saying the changes are undermining the sector at the worst possible time. According to IPSE research, 50% of freelancers are planning to stop contracting in the UK following these changes unless they're able to get contracts which are not caught up by the new rules. The research found that 24% of freelancers plan to look for contracts overseas, 12% will stop working altogether, 17% will look for an employed role, and 11% will retire within the next year. The IPSE also reported a couple of months ago that 24% of contractors said their clients were either uncertain or had made no indication about how they would respond to the IR35 changes. Andy Chamberlain, Director of Policy at IPSE, said the changes to IR35 would do serious serious harm to the self-employed sector at the best of times, but now they are adding drastic, unnecessary damage to the financial carnage of the pandemic, undermining the UK's contractors at the worst possible time. He went on to say that IR35 is incredibly complex, and the changes to IR35 are shifting this complexity from contractors themselves onto their clients. The result is clear: chaos. We continue to urge governments to rethink the changes. IR35 is not an isolated problem. It is a marker of a tax system that was not built with the self-employed in mind. It is this that has to change to make IR35 redundant and finally make taxation fairer and simpler for the self-employed. Because there can be a tax advantage associated with being a contractor putting work through a limited company rather than being treated as an employee, IR35 is one of those areas where we often hear about schemes and scams designed to get around the rules. These tax avoidance schemes sometimes involve the use of umbrella companies to convert income into a loan paid to the contractor. Tread very carefully before getting involved in any of these. They tend to charge pretty high fees, 10% or more of your gross income, and when challenged by HMRC will ultimately fall apart, landing you with tax to pay and penalties for tax avoidance. But how can you know when the off-payroll working rules apply? HMRC has a very useful check employment status for tax service, which can help you decide. I'll put a link to that in the description below. If as a worker you provide your services to a client through an intermediary, such as a limited company, but you would be classed as an employee if they contracted you directly, then IR35 rules apply. According to HMRC, a contract for the purpose of off-payroll working rules is a written, verbal or implied agreement between parties, so that's pretty all-encompassing. The off-payroll working rules apply on a contract-by-contract basis. A worker can have some contracts which fall within the off-payroll working rules and some which do not. If you're a contractor or freelancer, what do you make of these rule changes? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video. Until next time, I'm Martin Bamford, and remember, when it comes to your money, the more you know, the faster it can grow.